Hello everyone and welcome to another video. If you're new to the channel, my name's Emma. I'm an illustrator based in Sheffield and these are my daily-ish vlogs. Usually I'm doing illustration and art and stuff, but I wanted to take a little bit of time to do some face-to-face talking. A few weeks ago, maybe even just a week ago, I can't remember, I did a little video which included me talking a bit about the new app Cara. And it got a lot of views, which made me think people might appreciate a video more dedicated to it, because that video was mainly one of my studio vlogs and I'd only just downloaded Cara and I wanted to give my initial views on it. But I've been using it for a little while now and I thought I'd come back and give you a feedback on the app, why I use it, what it's like now, because there was a big exodus of people moving from Instagram to Cara because of their privacy settings and more specifically because of the way that they're treating people regarding AI and the training of our data on AI. Now, if you don't know, Instagram have introduced an AI training model where we have to opt out if we don't want our work or our content to be used in that AI training model. I think this is really cheeky because it should be an opt-in, not an opt-out. B, not everyone in the world can opt out. And C, they've made it really difficult to opt out. They've not been very transparent with the whole thing at all, and I'm really angry at them, to be honest. So this isn't just an issue for people who are illustrators and artists, it's everyone. So it's not just illustrators like me whose work is going to be used to feed generative AI training models. It's going to be people posting pictures of their kids, their family, their friends. So that's going to be used as well. So a lot of people aren't happy about it. Like I say, not everyone in the world can opt out. They've not made the opt-out easy and you've got until the 26th of June to be able to opt out. Now, I have done a little walkthrough on how you do it for both Facebook and Instagram, and it's a free post on my Patreon. I'll link it down in the video description. I would recommend you going to do that, even if you don't think it's going to affect you. Your images of yourself and of your children, I mean, do you really want them to be fed into an AI machine that will eventually generate images? I don't really know how it works, but if you don't like the idea of that, if you also don't exactly know how it works and you don't want to be part of it, then you can opt out if you're in certain parts of the country. Even if you think you might not be able to opt out depending on where you are in the world, I would go and try it, because then at least Meta, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, they've got an idea that people are opposed to it. So go and give it a go. Like I say, the link is in the video description. So when I very first started using Cara, whenever it was, a lot of people were becoming disgruntled with Instagram. And Cara is an app that is created primarily by artists for artists, but it's got a very firm anti-AI stance. Because it was created by an artist who's had her own legal battles with copyright law and with AI training, it's got a foundation in protecting intellectual property. Now, whether you are an illustrator, an artist, or just a regular person who's putting content out onto the internet, you have intellectual property copyright on your stuff. Well, in the UK, copyright is automatically asserted. Depending on where you are in the world, that might not be the case, but there is definitely an argument for anything that you put out on the internet being your intellectual property. So the app has come very much from that sphere. Now, like I say, it started off as an app created by artists for artists. So obviously artists, they've got a much more kind of existential crisis around AI because it could put them out of a job. But really, if you think about it, AI is probably going to put everyone out of a job at some point or another. So I don't know, it's worth putting on your radar. But now loads of people have started moving over to Cara. It's not just artists in the traditional sense. It's like photographers, pottery people. I've seen potters, I suppose you call them, potters, sculptors. Also, I've noticed a lot of people who aren't artists over there as well. Some people that I know and some people that I don't. I do think Cara has the potential to become a place that people who are wanting to protect themselves, protect their posts, and also have a kind of a space that isn't like, who wants to be part of a place where you are not subject to the selling of your private data. I think it's going to be a place that's going to be attractive for people who think like that, whether you're an artist or not. Now, in my last video, I did mention that because of the big exodus of people moving from Instagram onto Cara, there were a few bugs, and when I was first logging onto there, it was very slow. So I can report that since using it for a little while now, it no longer has those problems, at least not for me anyway. It's dealt with the amount of people who wanted to suddenly join it, and it's working smoothly. One thing you should bear in mind if you sign up there and if you want to join in the community is that it is an app in beta, so treat it with kindness. There is going to be a learning process, but you do have the benefit of being part of the app in its early stages. You can get your username, for example. There's not as many people in the world on Cara at the moment, so the chances of you getting your actual name or a name that you want is very high. So that's a good reason to kind of be in it from the beginning. But bear in mind it is an app in beta, and treat it kindly because of that. It will get better, it will get faster, and it will learn from its mistakes. But I think it's got the potential to be something amazing. And these are some of the reasons why I like it, and these are some of the reasons why I think it's not just going to be a place for artists, potentially. One thing I really like it is the layout. So it's got a tab called the portfolio, which might sound very illustratory and arty, but it's basically just a grid. So it's like your Instagram grid. It's a place that you can curate and make it look pretty. You can decide what posts go into your portfolio and which don't. So another thing that I like is that it's got another tab called the timeline tab. It's kind of like Twitter or a blog feed. I never really got into Twitter myself, but it's a place where you can post up more wordy posts, you can repost people, you can post links, which you can't in Instagram. So you can get a bit more like personal in the timeline. It doesn't show up on your portfolio unless you want it to. So it keeps your grid really nice and tidy and separate from like stream of consciousness. Like you just want to come on and let people know about something that's happening right now, or you want to share something that you've seen. You can do that and it doesn't affect your pretty little curated grid, which is amazing. Great for artists, but also great for just normal people who want to have a nice, pretty place that people can go and see their photos, and a place where you can let your brain dump. So you've got the portfolio and the timeline, and because of that it keeps it all nice and separate. Another thing I really like about Cara, which I mentioned in the previous video, is the Glaze integration. Now if you haven't heard, Glaze is a program that was created by the University of Chicago, and it is a way that you can cloak your images to inhibit AI training models training on your style. It doesn't stop them using them, it doesn't stop people trying to use them, but it puts an effect on your image, which when it is fed into AI models, it masks your own style and it creates another. So if your image that is glazed is put into an AI training model, it may come out looking more like a Van Gogh or Salvador Dali. So it's a way that artists can protect their own style from being fed into AI and having models trained on their style. Obviously, you can see how this will be useful also for non-artists, but especially for the artist community, the illustrator community, it's a really big thing to have an app that is integrated with such software. It kind of puts a flag in the sand about where Cara's ethics and beliefs are, which is kind of reassuring for illustrators and artists whose future livelihood will depend on retaining the copyright of their own images. Like I said before, Cara is in beta and the Glaze integration is temporarily suspended, but you can download Glaze yourself and glaze your images before you upload them to Cara. I have heard other people say that Cara automatically glazes a portion of the posts that go out anyway. But I can't remember seeing that written anywhere, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, you can download Glaze yourself on your own computer, or you can apply for Web Glaze, which is a web-based version of it, but you need to wait for an invite to that, and because of all of the interest in Glaze, it is quite backlogged at the moment. I asked for an invite probably about a month ago and I haven't heard anything back yet. The way to do that is to contact Glaze on their Instagram and basically private message them and ask them. And obviously, as they're trying to sift through all of the requests, it does take a bit of time. So if you want to download Glaze yourself, I'm not affiliated or anything, the links are in the video description. It does require quite a lot of space on your computer. The way I've got around it is I've got an old laptop that I have deleted all of the big apps and things off there. I've just kept the internet and my virus software, and I've put Glaze on there, and I'm going to be using that as a place where I can glaze my images without it sucking up all of the memory of the computer that I actually use. So that might be one way around it if you've got that option. If not, you can always get yourself, like I say, an invite to the Web Glaze, but it might take a little while. I think a lot of people were quite sceptical about how many people are actually going to be on it. But I do know that there's a kind of a bit of a skepticism about moving from Instagram to Cara. So I've opted out. Like I say, I'm keeping my Instagram for the time being, but I'm just becoming less active over there. I'm trying to put more energy into Cara to try and cultivate my relationships over there, make it a nice place. But I'm keeping Instagram because I know I've built up a community. So for the time being, I'm going to keep my Instagram going in the background. So every now and then I'll go back over there and I will show my face and I'll let people know they can find me over on Cara. Since using the app, there has been a lot more interaction over there. It was a bit quiet when it first started. I didn't really know how to use it, and I think other people didn't either. I think the idea of starting another social media app was a bit brain draining. But you know, the more I've used it, the more it feels like quite freeing, quite liberating. The less I'm using Instagram, the more I realise I don't need it. And I think we've all been fooled into thinking that, you know, it's become such a part of our daily life that people kind of are a little taken aback when they think about not using it as much. Because it's become part of our daily life. You know, you put it on Instagram, you put it on Facebook. We can exist without it. It's a made-up thing that's been added to our list of things to do in a day. I found it quite liberating not checking Instagram all the time. It's only since stepping back from Instagram that I've realised how much they've made us jump through hoops. So when I do pop back into Instagram, I inevitably get sucked back into scrolling on my feed and going through the reels, and it takes up so much of my time. But not just that. Since going on Cara, when I do come back into Instagram, you realise how noisy it is. Everything's got music to it. Everything's got someone dancing for your attention. And I do feel like we've been wrapped around Instagram's finger and we've been told, right, dance now. Like literally, we've been told to dance for attention. To be shown to our own followers, to people who have chosen to follow you, we now have to jump through hoops, put it to music, not be too long, do some dancing. It was only apparent when I separated myself from it how much energy I was expending jumping through the additional admin that Instagram put in my way just so people who followed me could see me. And you know, I've heard, don't quote me on this, but I've heard recently that Instagram are going to start, or are thinking about starting, or maybe already have started, a subscription service where you can pay differing amounts of money to be shown. So your posts are shown to differing quantities of your followers. They're taking the mickey. In my opinion, it's just too much. It already takes up, it already took up so much of my time, and now they're wanting us to pay for it as well. No, you don't have to do that on Cara. Another good thing that I like about Cara, actually, talking about being shown to followers, is that you can change up the percentage of the people that you see in your timeline. So you can either choose to see just people who you follow, you can choose to see people who you follow and people who you follow, and also new people. And you can change the percentage. So if you want to see more people that you follow, you can up the percentage of the people who you follow, and you can or if you want to see all new people, you can up the percentage of the new people that you want to see. And I think that's a really nice way of doing it. Rather than, like, we're in control then, rather than being told who you see and when you see it. Another good thing that I like about Cara is no adverts. And I only really noticed this since removing myself from Instagram. So when I do pop back on, I didn't realise before how many adverts I was scrolling past just to get to the people who I wanted to see. And I really was actually shocked by how many adverts had just slipped past my radar that I was just subconsciously allowing my eyes to scroll past. So yeah, it's really nice, calming place over on Cara. I don't really have a bad word to say about it. The only downside is that it does have fewer users than Instagram. Hopefully the more that time goes on and the more people can see that it's there and it's a thing and people can get their head around it, I think more people will go over there. I think you'll see more art directors, you'll see more agents, hopefully you'll see more like museums, art galleries, all that kind of stuff, and normal people going there. Because it does seem like a very kind of safe space for people who don't want their data, their posts, their content to be used to train AI models. So I do think you're going to see more people over there. But like I say, it's not there yet. You don't have the masses of people over there yet. But that's not necessarily a negative thing. When there's not so many people on an app, the chances of you seeing the people that you actually want to see are really high. And I've found so many new people over there. And it feels good for my creativity to see new stuff and to see stuff that isn't like 90% adverts or whatever the percentages of adverts on Instagram. And isn't people who are doing convoluted dancing to get my attention. It feels like a grown-up app full of people who care about people. Genuinely, that's how I feel. It doesn't feel like an app that's going to fleece us either from money or from our intellectual copyright. Like I say, I think things like this only get better the more people use it. But there is a benefit to being one of the kind of early adopters of it, primarily of which you can get your name without having to add any numbers and hashtags after it. So I hope this has been useful. It's been mainly my brain kind of rambling about how I found it since my very hasty jump to Cara when I heard what Meta was doing with our data and training AI. And it has improved a lot since then. Like I said before, a lot of people were moving over, and you can't expect hundreds of thousands of people to start using an app overnight and then not to be any teething problems. So when people were reporting that it was very slow, very glitchy, I experienced that in the beginning as well. But they literally had about 300,000 people overnight signing up to the app, and they needed to obviously provide systems that could deal with that amount of people. And they've done it now. It's a lot smoother, it's a lot faster, there's a lot more people on there, there's a lot more colour, a lot more life, there's a lot more variety as well. When I very first signed up, it was very, it seemed to be very similar people who were, not very similar people, but like a similar genre. It was very kind of digital art, fan, like gamer art, fan art, digital stuff. There seems to be a lot more variety on there now. People doing traditional art, a lot of kind of process work, a lot of sketchbook work like I do. It's becoming a lot more varied, and it's only going to get more varied the more people get on board. So that's my thoughts. Yeah, I hope it's been enjoyable, my little ramble. If you do have any questions, let me know in the comments, but it might just be worth jumping in there and getting involved, if for no other reason than to save your name as your handle. And then you've got all the time in the world to actually post stuff up there. If you do get on there though, come and find me. I'll pop my Cara link down below. It's Emma Woodthorpe. It's me. I managed to save my name as my handle. Imagine that. And if you got any questions, let me know in the comments. There are probably loads of things that I didn't cover in this that I wanted to cover, and I'll only remember once I'm editing it. So yeah, let me know in the comments and we can carry on the conversation down there. So I'm going to leave this video here, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one, which will probably be back to my normal daily-ish vlogs of illustrating and bumbling around my studio. So if you like that kind of thing, hopefully I'll see you there. So until then, bye!